Hello, this is Grandmaster Jerry Fasty Fontanes with another episode of Anime Power Talk. This time we're going all the way to Long Island, here, the Boogie Down Bronx. That's right. Now, throughout the years, people have been able to go and get involved in martial arts, sometimes in Kung Fu or karate or what have you. And then sometimes they crossed over to other forms of pugilism, which could include boxing or kickboxing or MMA or what have you. This gentleman has an opportunity not only as a competitor, but also as a, well, not just competitor, multiple world champion, but more importantly, he has a team of people and has had them for many, many years, whether it's his instructor and or his students, his brother, crossed over to become a promoter. I mean, when it's all said and done, one of the Renaissance masters of martial arts, even though kickboxing became minuscule compared to it was in the past, he has never skipped a beat and been involved in the entire thing. And I'm happy to say that he may not understand this, maybe realize, but even my man, Master Joe Corley, actually had PK fights in Canada just a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, and they were recorded. So kickboxing, he held on to it, and is on his way back. Anyway, without further ado, we got, I'm not sure if it's Sensei or Sifu, Tommy B. Bottone. Are you there, sir?
Yes, sir. Jerry Fontanes, thank you very much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Oh, man, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. And it's interesting because I can say this, that my wife, Michelle, you know, haunting us today, Conheim back in the day, she's the reason why I even got a chance to see some of the kickboxing, thinking that it was all done years ago. And you know, because I come from, obviously, I'm a little older, so I'm coming from the PK days. And I didn't realize the USKBA, rest in peace to Paul Rosner, was even around and all the stuff that happened. But let's talk about you, because it's not about me. In the beginning, what was your inspiration, desperation, or your motivation when it comes to the martial arts?
Well, I got kind of a different story than a lot of guys. You know, I grew up kind of tough, you know, fighting in the streets all the time, and I kind of got lucky. You know, I was watching PK and some of the other stuff that Lou Negri was doing on TV, and yeah, it piqued my interest a little bit, so I watched some of the fights, like Mike Sexton. I watched fight on TV. I watched a couple of people fighting. And, you know, one day I was just happening to be getting gas by my house, and I saw my Sifu Moses Orocho, you know, doing some sparring. They had guys outside doing sparring. It was summertime. And, you know, I went in, checked it out, and saw everybody sparring. Saw him sparring. They had a team from South America there. They were training to go to the World Championships. I believe it was in Beijing at that time for Sanshao. And it piqued my interest. I told them I wanted to fight, and the rest is history.
Wow, that's interesting. You just mentioned Sanshao, and obviously kickboxing or Muay Thai or continuous contact, whatever you want to call it, has been around for a long, long time. What was interesting about Sanshao, what I loved is seeing those scissor takedowns, and I believe Chung Lee was the champion. Or Kung Lee. Yeah, Chung Lee.
And I was doing it before he was. And
wow.
We almost met a couple of times in the World Championships because he was a little heavier than me. I fought at 165 and he fought at 175. And my last championship that I won in Sanshao in a tournament was in Florida. It was called the USA WKF. And that was his first national championship that he won.
Wow. Now, what year are we talking about here, just to get a timeline?
That was 1994. It was in Orlando, Florida. And I came back and I fought on the first card at Sanshao show. I was the main event against a Sanshao champion from Boston, Josh Bartholomew. And it was promoted by guys you probably know as David Ross, Kung Fu guys, Steven Ventura. They had New York Kung Fu and Karate, and you know, it was in Manhattan, and they both still have schools. But they promoted the first Sanshao card where it was, you know, single fights instead of a tournament, and that was held in New York City.
Wow, so interesting. Now, how about as a youngster, were you ever one of those karate or kung fu fans? It doesn't seem like it, but just curious.
Not
or
really.
Were you involved in other sports?
I'll be honest with you, the only sport I ever partook in when I was growing up was wrestling because it was the most similar to fighting. And I kind of missed my boat on that because I was actually undefeated for like 5 years, but I kept getting thrown out of school for fighting, believe it or not. And,
well, that could be the combination of being a Puerto Rican and Italian. And I can only say that because so that's the same blood that I have. Just so you know. Or maybe being born in the Bronx, you know, that could also create some of that energy and testosterone that people just can't handle. Even us, we can't until we find out when we get older what to do with it.
I was born on 233rd Street at Misericordia Hospital. I think it's called something else now. It's still Catholic Hospital, I believe. And I came out to Long Island when I was 8, and you know, I had my share of fights. Kind of fought all the time since I was a little kid. And if I didn't find martial arts when I did, I would be probably in prison by now.